Indeed. We took one high set of which I have a lot of ideas. Hell yes.
Are you coaching them? Like, drink them?
Are we too close? JP is my
Everybody grab a seat so we can get started, please.
We need to get excuse my language. Thank you. Say something.
I mean that in all sincerity, you know, some of the coaches happen to see what the men's locker room looks like after the games, and Kenny's always got a spick and span, the gym always looks great, and I think it's a nice place to lead teams to come in and play, and a lot of that credit goes to Kenny Carlson.
Go Kenny!
Another man that's made a big difference in the sports programs, I feel, at Curry. He is serving in the capacity this year as the recruiting coordinator, doing a super job, as well as being game host site. Again, it's another responsibility that the coaches had to do previously. Welcome the other team, tell them when they were dressing, and attend to their needs. That's been taken away from us, and I, as a coach, really appreciate the job that Tom Joyce does for us. We're expecting at some time John Concession, and I don't know if it means anything to players, but I will tell you the difference that John Concession has made as far as getting you people publicity is incredible. He knows his business, he's a hard worker, he's into stats, and certain people are into stats and certain people aren't. John happens to be, and he works tirelessly to get those stats and get them out, and get the public press releases into the newspaper. And I believe John and his wife will be arriving, although from what I understand he's been cut down to 3 hours a week because of budget problems, so maybe his 3 hours are up and he can't make it. But I hope John will arrive eventually. And then of course there's the person that we all know is the real power in the athletic department. Tom Stevens couldn't make today's banquet. He got a wedding to attend to. So in his place, as I said, he said the person who really runs the athletic department. And of course you all know that I'm referring to Mona Boonstra. And probably the people I'd like to welcome most here tonight are the parents that came to the dinner. Particularly, I think all the parents except for Mrs. Kennedy and the Coronas, because the rest of you can tip a glass because I think your tuition payments are finally coming to an end. I'd like to welcome you and the parents that still have to make the sacrifice to get through the school. So thank you. Make one special notation to a parent. I've never been at a league meeting before discussing players where a parent's name came up, but it happened this year. If you remember the scene from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid where they keep being harassed by these people, finally say, who are those guys? Well, that's what the coach, the women's basketball coaches wanted to know about this particular person. Said, who the hell is that? And of course they were referring to George Bleed. And unless I've forgotten Case, Jerry, anybody else? Doing fine, thank you. Let's keep going. At this time, we'd like to begin the May table, and I want to start, first of all, with the parents.
Hey! Oh, he's getting Andy's age, huh? Season, right?
Yeah, right.
Seeing discount.
Okay,
Don't say anything bad.
this is, like I say, very informal, and what I'm going to do in this first part of my presentation is to give out some awards, gifts of appreciation that Coach Kelly and I feel more than super deserved. Okay, these people work long hours and they go unnoticed. And as far as the basketball program is concerned, without them, it just leaves so much less that we have to do, and we just want to show our appreciation. First of all, I'd like to call Juan Boonster up, please, for a little gift.
Aruba!
Yes, Booty.
I would, I'd take it. Because whether or not I'm sure the kids are well aware, but maybe some of the parents aren't, that I don't think there's one, well maybe one, head coach who was full-time at Curry College and is a baseball coach. But a lot of us, not a lot of us, all the rest of us are part-time. And Coach Kelly teaches in the elementary school, I teach at a high school, local high school, so it's very difficult for us to get things coordinated as to what we want to do, get messages to certain people. And if it wasn't for Lorna here, half the stuff would never get done, believe me. And we just like to give her a little gift. I hope that she will wear it in good health.
Thank you very much, everybody. These are like thank
Sort of a big thing now,
One of the big things that, as in Lorna's case and the next couple of people that I want to bring up, it's just a load off our minds when we don't have to do a lot of things. And as far as game nights are concerned, it's a big thing for us when we can come into the gym, go into the office, and kind of get a game plan in order without having to worry about, if the flag is up, or the PA system is hooked up, or the tables are upstairs. Believe me, that means a big, big thing. And the next person I'd like to bring up for a little presentation, a little show of our appreciation, is Bal and Kenny. Come on up, Kenny.
Kenny's French.
Next person, again, that has kind of taken over a new role for us this year, as far as recruiting goes, but again, game nights are concerned, he's there to greet the visiting team, make sure they're in the proper locker rooms, keep them out of my hair, and Coach Kelly's here. He's helped me out tremendously, and also Coach Kelly and the rest of the head coaches with kids who have been, that we've recruited and getting things in order. And again, it's just another area that Curry is, as I hope, going in the right direction to make things all come together for us. And that's Tom Joyce. Next, I've known this fellow for a long time. When I was at Weymouth, in fact, he played for me. He was on one of my first teams at Weymouth High School, and he was a very intense competitor then. I don't know what he would say as far as my coaching of him during those years, but
I really appreciated the time that I was at Weymouth, and I think it just made me the better person for associating with people like him. And I know he does a super job for Coach Kelly, and again, it's another area where we don't have to worry about it. And I know that Coach Kelly feels very pleased to know that when he comes to the game, he's got somebody like Danny Capil to take care of whatever he has to have done. So we'd like to show our appreciation of Coach Kelly with to Danny. Finally, the last presentation, this little segment here, is to a person that I've really appreciated over the last year, and not saying that the fellow that he replaced didn't do the job, but I don't mean that in a negative sense. It's just that he had other things going, and with the allotment that was given to him by Kerry College, it was a very difficult situation to do. John Kusijian came in, and believe me, our stats A1, publicity A1. Recognition of the student athletes out there A1. Although I must say I fired him at least 10 times during the course of the year, and I'll probably fire him again tonight. But statisticians, you have to know, are a certain brand of people. They are perfectionists in what they do. And after a game, the women usually play first at home, and then we come on. Well, it's 10:30, 11:15 at night, and John is still calm to go over. The Herald want to know, how many assists, how many turnovers. And my boys will tell you, I'm not one for stats. I could care less. When I was at Weymouth, I used to make them up at Dedham. I'd call the Globe and they'd say, yeah, Joe Smith, yeah, he got 25 points, 14 rebounds, 12 assists, 10 turnovers, and all. The guy would look at me, I just couldn't stand doing it. And believe me, and I know Coach Kelly feels the same way, it's one area of coaching basketball that I'm glad somebody else is doing it. And again, to show our appreciation to John, who's just doing a super job. I hope next year that Kerry College gives him more hours. We've done a better job. Thank you, Coach Morelli. Tom Stevens couldn't be here with us tonight. Can I say that? I'd make a few comments about the women's program before we make some presentations. I was very pleased with the way the ladies played this year. I have a tendency to call them girls, and that comes from my high school experience. Ladies had an outstanding season as far as I was concerned. We basically played the season with 8.5 players. And one player that was injured at least half the year. And 14 road games, and at the college level, that is an intolerable situation to have to get in that bus sometimes 3 times in 5 days, make trips and try to play respectable basketball. But we did it. We won the regular season Commonwealth Coast Conference Championship, which was quite an accomplishment. Within 1 point of winning both ends of the championship, and also within that same point of defending our championship from last year. I told the girls at the end of the season, I thought that as far as the coach was concerned, that they could not have played any better, and I could not ask any more out of them. I was very pleased with this particular season. With that in mind, I'd like to call the ladies up. Danny Capil is going to come up and help me pass out the awards. And each girl will be receiving a certificate and then the appropriate letter award for their years played in the program. First, we'd like to bring up our manager, and we had a young lady this year that was extremely efficient, having gone from Dulcie Worth for 4 years and no manager last year. It was like day and night. As Coach Morelli referred to earlier, there's so many things that coaches end up doing that don't have to do directly with preparing your team to play basketball. And when you can get people to take some of those responsibilities, it makes coaching a heck of a lot easier. We had a wonderful person this year, only a freshman, but a person that made my job easier and also made the players' job a heck of a lot easier. They didn't have to watch the uniforms. They didn't have to worry about things that they shouldn't have to worry about. And all that responsibility was taken over by our manager, who did a fantastic job, and would like to recognize at this time Lisa. That half player that I referred to a few minutes ago was a player that is quite an interesting kid. She came in, pretty good high school basketball background. She wanted to play, worked very hard pre-season, probably worked a little bit too hard, got injured, missed most of the first semester. Kept up her attitude, wanted to be part of the team, very positive person. Came back second semester, started to practice, got injured. So she really didn't get into the flow of the play as well as we would have liked, but I appreciated her attitude and being a very positive force. When you're making these road trips with only 9 players and one of them isn't playing, it's important to have people at least supporting the other girls. And this particular person did that, and quite frankly, she showed me some ability this year, and I think if she can stay injury-free, that she may have a pretty good sophomore year next year. And that, of course, is Tara Coyle.
Yes, Steve. Yes,
We had one other freshman on this year's basketball team, Stoughton, Mass. That's an interesting point at this time. We've had so much success just recruiting local kids. Many of the teams that we play, their rosters, kids from all over the country. And the success that we've had at Curry has just been local, blue-collar type kids. And I think this kid kind of typifies that player that has come to Curry and done very well. She worked very hard, great work ethic. She made some freshman mistakes, as all freshmen do, but really won a couple of games for us. One game in mind in particular, that would be Roger Williams, when no one showed up to play that day. So we threw in everybody that we had. Finally, last kid in was Mary Beth Foreman, and she turned the game around. She was really fantastic.
Yes, Andy.
And any league game that you play, as you well know, is important in the final standings. In that game, we turned around, won a close ball game, and there's no question who the MVP that particular game was. I'm looking forward to her having more of those types of games in the future. And that, of course, is Mary Beth Foreman.
Nate.
First young lady talking about local athletes, lives about a mile from here. Has had a very good career up to this point at Curry. The game that I recall most is the Commonwealth Coast Conference semifinal game. And again, I think she might have been the best player on the floor. As a matter of fact, an interesting story. After the game, the Salve Regina coach came up and said, boy, that particular kid, who I'll name in a minute, had quite a game. You know, where's she from? How come she played so well? Well, the other side of that story is that we had played them previously 2 weeks earlier down at Salve. This particular person had sat on the bench for the first half because she was late getting to the bus. So that's why he hadn't seen her in the first half. So it was kind of the surprise weapon. But she did have an outstanding game. She's got outstanding ability, and she's going to have to assume some leadership responsibilities next year, and I expect her to do that. And that is Sharon Benica. Keeping up with the local theme, you can't get much closer to Curry than Milton. And this next particular player is quite an unusual individual. Danny can probably relate more about that than I can, having coached her down at Notre Dame Academy. But she came along. I think she finally understood what the game of basketball was about halfway through this sophomore year, and played very well. Played very well in the second half of the season. She had probably her best game in our final game, 72-71 loss to Anna Maria, where all of a sudden I saw a player in front of me become a player. She became a college player, and played well, scored, did all the things we've been asking her to do, and again, I think that's going to lead her into a very successful junior year. It's Mary Ellen Kennedy.
Yes, Mel.
Go now.
Next young lady will be receiving a first-year award, even though she's a little bit older than some of the other kids. We needed a player this year, and in the NBA, professional sports, you get somebody off the waiver wire to fill in. Well, college athletics, it doesn't work that way. You hope someone emerges when your recruiting class didn't come in as strongly as you had hoped it was. Some kids went other places. A couple of other kids decided not to play. We were hurting. This particular player filled the gap. Not only came in and played, but played extremely well. At one point in the season, she was leading the Commonwealth Coast Conference in field goal percentage. Had not played basketball for a few years, but was a good enough athlete to overcome that and become a very integral part of this year's team. So receiving her first year letter award in basketball is Andrea Singer. The thing that I like most about this kid as a basketball player is her work ethic. She really doesn't possess any particular skill that you would say she's a great Division III player.
Yes, Pia.
But yet she's the type of player you can put into the game, and she will not make mistakes. She will do everything well. As I said, the work ethic is the thing that I find most enjoyable about coaching this particular kid, and I think that's a great credit to her parents and the way she was brought up. I'd also like to announce at this time that this person will be serving as the captain of next year's basketball. Connecticut, Pia Corona.
Yes, Pia.
It's very special to me. Unfortunately, the plaques that they're supposed to be receiving for their senior award, we do not have. They will be getting them. Did I mention Tom Stevens didn't come tonight? So they will be receiving their plaques at a later date. On senior day, I referred to the three of these players as the best recruiting class in Curry College basketball history. I firmly believe that. I don't know what took place before I came to Curry, but we've got a class that had 2,000-point scorers, the second and third leading scorers on the all-time list. A guard that started for 4 years, a team that has won 75 ball games over a 4-year period, averaging a little bit over 18 wins a year. Division III basketball, that's quite an accomplishment, unbelievable thing to do. They'll be receiving, when they come up, a tape of their final senior game, which goes a little bit beyond that into a party that went on afterwards, which we won't get into. I'd like to thank Elaine Hennigan for providing that tape, and my little friend Darren Campbell for copying those tapes so that the girls can take that with them. So when they're talking to their grandchildren about how great a player they are, they'll have something to back it up. First young lady, again, lives about a mile from here, and I guess was the hostess of this afternoon's party, has had an unbelievable career at Curry College. She's the second all-time leading scorer. She made the 1,000-point club this year. And the thing that I like about this kid is all of that time she's a team player. If she had shot the ball more, she probably would have scored more points. If she had done other things, more individual things would have occurred, but she's not that type of player. Everything this kid accomplished was within the framework of teamwork and winning. And she has been a major reason that we've won 75 games over 4 years. And of course, I'm talking about Tracy Hennig.
I got you. Yes, Tracy.
Basketball career and I guess his softball career has gone at Curry. Again, this particular young lady was the epitome of team basketball. Had many serious injuries from a broken nose freshman year, Achilles problem. I guess today she got banged up in the softball game. But this kid never complained. She came to every practice. She did what she could do. Never used it as an excuse. You know, athletes are famous. You see pro athletes, they're famous for making excuses for themselves. This kid never made an excuse for anything. Gave the Curry basketball program everything that she was capable of doing. And had she not been injured, I think probably would have been a 1,000-point scorer along with the other two seniors that she's with. She's very dear to my heart. I'm sorry that she couldn't be here today. And I guess we'll just have to make sure that Nancy Monroe gets the award for due to her. Third senior, young lady from Martha's Vineyard, three-time Commonwealth Coast Conference All-Star.
Yes, Galiga.
1,000-point scorer, third on the all-time list. I guess the roommates can squabble about that for a while. An outstanding player who I think probably her greatest asset was her intensity. She just, certain games out there that this kid decided we're not going to lose this game, and we didn't. And combining that with their overall athletic ability became one of the outstanding players in Curry College basketball history. And that is Lee.
What's up with that? Make some memories. Hideaway.
Gonna turn this over to Coach Morelli.
He will.
After last year's season, they had this big speech prepared for this year's season. But we fell one game short from last year's season.
Emerson.
Yeah, Tom Stevens here.
Great schedule.
If we had to do over again, which you can't, but if we had won a couple of those close games at the beginning of the year, I think things would have been different. With a 3-win season, you may say, well, where were the highlights? Well, there were a lot of highlights. In fact, they were all negative, but they were highlights. One highlight was, you know, the first or second game against New England College was a very good team, and we lost at the last second on a 3-point shot. Another highlight was the 2 games against Anna Maria, one of which was at their place. We had the final shot, and we were down, and we lost by a couple of points up there. And the heartbreaker of all heartbreakers, I think, was the game at Curry against Anna Maria. In over 20 years of coaching, I think that was my most excruciating loss. We were up 5 points with 30 seconds to go and lost. And I think what happens is you kind of get into a grind here. When you lose games like this in the manner in which we did, it's very difficult to break that scheme. If you're winning games this way, it's very easy to win them. And what you people have to understand in coaching and the kids that you're dealing with, when this happens, it's very difficult to come back the next day and have an intense practice, a practice in which you want to get things accomplished. It's very difficult to prepare for the next game, knowing that you've just suffered a tremendous loss, and you go in and you lose the next one the same way. And I'm not going to say that it was easy. I'd be lying, and that's one thing I'm not a liar, and the kids will know that. It was a hard year. It was a hard year for me. It was a hard year for them. But I have to say this, and I mean this sincerely, that when you go through a year like this, if you don't have the caliber of kids that we have, it could have been a lot worse. And at this time, speaking to my team, you know, as a coach to his team, I say thank you. Not for what you did or did not do, but for what you could have made it, you know, a lot harder and you didn't. I know that may not be very clear, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. And again, it's easy to go 20-0 a lot of times. It's difficult to have a losing season and yet get something positive out of it. And I hope that the players who are returning realize that we did get something positive out of it. For those guys who are leaving us, I honestly wish that I had more years with them. Because I'm sure that, you know, they would, down the road, know where that light at the end of the tunnel is going to be. The women's program is very successful. It's very successful because they have a dedicated coach, they have dedicated people, they were able to bring in 3 super seniors who were able to establish a winning program, and that's what it takes. It's a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of dedicated kids to make that program reach the heights that it's come to. And I hope that within the next couple of years, the men's program will be at the same level as the women's. And I just want to say this, that in a lot of programs at the college and high school level, you know, there's animosity between, there's competition. You know, we won, you lost. But in my 2 years as the head basketball coach here at Curry, it's just been super as far as the relationship between the men's and the women's program. It's been super supportive. Both the men's for the women's and the women's for the men. I'm very appreciative of that. And you know, I'd just like to say thanks to Coach Kelly and you seniors from the women's program. You know, we'll miss you. You've done a great job. And I hope that my kids were able to see what you were able to do, and maybe we can do the same thing. So thanks a lot. Now it seems in high school, and has just come back from our southern recruiting trip of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and points south of Providence. And you better bring in some players or we're in big trouble. Gonna give him a little sweater this year.
Give him some sweatpants. Paintbrush.
Okay, first year players, first person I'd like to bring up is someone who came up to me halfway through the season and was John's right-hand man and decided that he wanted to be my right-hand man. I said, hey coach, I'm a great three-point shooter. I can turn your whole program around. I said, at this time I'll take anybody that can do that. But I will say this, he came in and I didn't give him any promises. He came up and I said, look, there's no guarantees. You're going to come, you're going to practice. I'm not sure if you're going to get in at all. He was willing to do that and pay the price and get in a couple of games, jacked up a couple of threes from about 40 feet. A couple of them went in, and I just hope it was enjoyable for the half year we had. Matt? Basketball, but we won't do that. Next first-year player I'd like to bring up is a fellow that I met his mom and dad at the spring reception a year ago, and they said he was a great player. He's about 6'5", could dunk the ball either hand, 35 points in high school, all kinds of assists, and I said, geez, who is this kid? And coach, could you send out a workout sheet for him during the summer, because he really wants to improve his game. I said, I'd be more than happy to do that. I sent that out, we talked a couple of times over the phone. He showed up at practice, and about 2 days later, he said, Coach, is it okay if I miss the next practice? I said, why? He's have to go to a play. But I will say this for Brett. He's worked hard. I hope that, I know he may have some other plans for next year. I hope that those plans don't come true, and I hope that he will continue to spend his next 3 years at Custom Curry. Brett Cox.
Sweet.
Next, first-year player. One of the advantages of coming to Curry College is that you have the opportunity to play more than one sport. If you're if you can qualify to do that, we don't hold you against you unless you're 6'10" and I say, okay, that's it. But this is a very positive thing about the school. That I know when we go out recruiting, we do emphasize it. We do have the opportunity to play more than one sport. Peter came into Curry, and those of you, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this, but those of you who know the name DeBuscher know that his father was a tremendous basketball player. College basketball player, pro basketball player, general manager of New York Knicks. He is now going to dedicate the new Curry College athletic facility. Bush Educational. He can call it anything he wants. All kidding aside, Peter came to us and has just been a very, very positive person. And I mean that very sincerely. It's a difficult thing. People would come into the gym, look at our roster and say, DeBuscher, and that name again rings a bell with basketball people. And there he is, right? Peter, because of our personnel, I think, was forced to play out of position. I hope next year that if we bring in the people that I hope come, he can play his true spot and really be a real good player for us. If he works in the foul shooting, here's a big basketball name, and we can live. The town is being sued. Now, I kidded his father about this. I said the reason why he's such a terrible foul shooter is that he can't practice on a basket in his yard. Well, in Garden City, New York, there's an ordinance that says you cannot have baskets, am I right, Peter, that aren't attached to the house, okay? In other words, you cannot have a basket on a pole. That's against the city ordinance. That's why they all stink. We're going to get Peter to live in this area now where he can practice on a regular basket and be much better for his next year. Peter DeBuscher. Next first-year player comes from us. Actually, is really not his first-year player, but he's a transfer. And he comes from the school that we had two very, very close games with this year, and actually 2 close games with last year. The coach is a very good friend of mine. We're very competitive at camps and when Tommy decided to transfer from Anna Maria to Curry, there was some little, bickering back and forth, but that's water over the dam now. And I'm just very, very pleased that Tommy did decide to come to Curry. We're going to have him for the next couple of years. He's going to be the mainstay of our backcourt. He's just a super, super kid. And again, we hope that we bring some more people in to make it a little bit easier for him and the other people that we have coming back. They just did a great job for us this year. And I hope, again, that he had no regrets, because leading a program, Anna Maria won the championship. They went on to the, I think, the ECAC tournament, and Tommy could have been part of that. But yet, he made the choice to transfer to Curry. I'm very pleased that he did. I just hope it's been a happy year for him. Tommy Ross. Next up, the players who have been around for a couple of years. We're starting to get with the older guys now. First, again, emphasizing the fact that Curry does give the student athletes the chance to play more than one sport. And I know that the student athletes out there that have to work and play one sport is difficult. To play two sports is difficult. To play three sports is monumental. And not only to play, participate, but be more than just a player. To be an important cog in those three sports. Two of these sports I happen to be assistant coach of football and have worked with this boy, be his coach in basketball, and I know Coach Smith in lacrosse feels the same way about it. He's very, very dedicated. He's extremely intense. He wants to win more so than anyone else that I've been associated with. And I hope it's that desire, that intensity, that willingness to win, to pay the price, that's going to make us the better team next year. I don't know how the hell he does it, but he does play three sports. He's given it his all for those three sports, and that's Kenny McComb. The next boy, again, is a local kid from Milton. But I remember when I was coaching in high school, he was playing for the local high school in Milton. A great shooter. You know, we just expect so much from him next year. Again, I hope that the people that we bring in is going to make his task a little bit easier. Again, the kid has come from an extremely successful program. And again, to make the transition from a very, very successful program to a program that we hope that's on its way up, that's turning the corner. And I'm going to put a lot of pressure on him next year to try to make that true. And I just hope that, you know, he can take it. I'm sure he will. He's had a great year this year. He's got 2 more years to go. He can really light it up at times. We just want that consistency, and if we get it, we're going to be a good team. And I just hope that again, we're willing to commit and do what we expect of him. That's Richard Holmes. The next person is a kid who's worked extremely hard for the last couple of years, who didn't really, doesn't really see the same amount of playing time as some of the other players, but yet he's there every day, he works hard every day in practice, and again, depending on what happens next year, he's got to do the job. And I remember one incident at halftime, I said, Brian, you just got to do it for us, And at times he could do it, and at other times the shot just wouldn't fall, the rebound would go through his hand. But I don't think I've ever come in contact with anyone who has the desire to want to do it, to want to excel, to want to put forth his best effort. Right. Brian is just a super kid to coach.
Yes, Brian.
You can't drive. Those of you who are associated with athletics know that there are kids that you want to have on your team because they make the coaching experience easier. They make it enjoyable. And Brian is that type of kid. And we'd like to call him up now to receive. All right. Al, Larry, Moe, and Curly.
Hey!
I think the biggest adjustment for me as far as going from high school to college, I had visions of stepping in and saying, okay, I have a power forward, playing, and in normal situations probably be a guard or a true guard, an off guard. But yet, with his jumping ability and because of our situation, he's had to play inside, he's had to cover guys twice his weight, 4 or 5 inches bigger than him, but yet has done the job. And times I've gotten down on him, mainly for probably missing the easiest shot in the game, and that's layup. I mean, the guy works so hard to get the ball, to go up with it, and he bricks it.
Remember that forever.
But yet there isn't anyone I know, one of my tri-captains last year, and I hope, basketball aside, I think Andrew has gotten out of basketball what he wanted to. He's enjoyed it, I hope. He's worked hard. Now he's going on to, I hope, a very successful life. And I wish him all the success in the world.
Bad thing to do, isn't it?
Nothing. I just want to mention also that the seniors, we do have plaques for them. I would just like to pay a little bit of recognition to his mom and dad, Mr. and Mrs. Saki, they're out there tonight. Also to the mothers and fathers of the women players. It's a big thing, especially for the seniors. And Mr. and Mrs. Saki, God love you. I said to JJ earlier tonight, my son will be graduating from Villanova next month, and I have another daughter graduating in a couple of 2 years, I guess, and 3 more coming up. I don't know where I went wrong. But anyway, I know what you're going through now, and I said to JJ, I said, when's graduation? He said, May 19th. And I said, when you get to this point, I think we should be rewarded, at the end. When they finally reach their goal, and they've graduated, knock on wood, I think we should be given a bonus, or maybe, I don't know if you could put a dollar amount on it, but 100,000 or 50,000 or whatever, because you did the job. And I'm not talking about as a basketball player per se, I'm just talking as a good son. And my 2 years with him, they were good. And I'd just like to say thank you. Now, I'm not done with you yet. Now we'll tell all the stories about basketball. Again, another person that, again, we asked to do a lot of things.
Terminator.
Sometimes he did them, sometimes he didn't. He had his own way. And I'll be, again, I wouldn't be truthful to say that we didn't bang heads now and then. But I think that overall, after everything is said and done, everything is in proper perspective here tonight. I'm not a Division I coach. My people out there are Division I, Division III basketball players, but yet I feel that our relationship is a very, very good one. And at this point, I would just like to emphasize that by pointing out a person who's here tonight that I didn't have the opportunity to speak about last year because he had to attend an Italian wedding. Being Italian myself, I know that if he didn't go, he would be severely cut off. So again, he felt very bad about not attending last year's banquet, and he was my captain last year. And this is what I hope to, and I know Coach Kelly feels the same way, to have the type of program where a fellow player can come back at any time, you know, whatever, whatever reason, you know, can come back and talk and whatever. I think the article in the Globe said it best. And I know to end your senior year injury prone the way he did was not the best way to go. And I just want to reflect back to the Salve game where he was hurt. He came out, went down and got some ice and came back up to me and I said, "You ready?" And went back in, and that's the type of kid he was. And I'm sure that whatever is in store for him in the future, he'll be very successful at, because basketball aside or whatever, you know, he's a good kid, and I just wish him all the best. Another one of my senior class captains. Next guy, I don't know, we're going to nickname him Larry, Mo, Oxfield, probably all three, I don't know. But some guys have been saying that practices are going to be quiet next year. Well, I don't know about that. Maybe they will be, maybe they won't be. But in speaking of Nick, I will say this, that he's come a long way. From the very first time I met him until tonight, and I hope it will go far and beyond tonight too, with all of my seniors. It's hard because you're not, like Coach Kelly's been with his kids for 4 years, with me it's only been 2. And when you count the W's and L's, it hasn't been very successful. But when I go beyond the W's and L's, it means a hell of a lot more to me, because these are my first seniors. That, you know, been more than 1 year. And Nick is a special person in a lot of ways. Those of you who are close to our program, we had a little incident way back that we had to work our way through, which I thought we did. We had a situation with Nick that we had to work our way through, and we did that. And I think when you go through periods like this, they make you stronger people. And again, it's situations like this that kind of put you over the top. There were games that we could have gone over the top, but we didn't. And I hope that, you know, we can, looking back and reflecting on it in future years, what we went through this year will make us stronger for next year. Just like Stephen is here tonight, I hope that Nick will be able to come back next year maybe, or even in spirit. I'm certain that during practices we will all remember him. We will remember him during the games, and I will certainly remember him as a very, very good basketball player, and more so, person dear to my heart, okay? And I won't get sentimental. I'm smoking a cigar, and if he ever comes up and kisses me.
He's great.
Yes, Nick?
Okay, now that concludes my team presentation. Now we have some.
Thanks, Dick. I just wanted to say a couple words before I get into the presentation from the ECAC. First, you know, here at Curry, I've worked in Division I, and my wife here, you know, she works in a basketball office at the Division I level as well. And we've come across, you know, many a coach.
He's great.
Yes, Nick?
Okay, now that concludes my team presentation. Now we have some.
Thanks, Dick. I just wanted to say a couple words before I get into the presentation from the ECAC. First, here at Curry, I've worked in Division I, and my wife here, she works in a basketball house on the Division I level as well. And we've come across, many a coach, and in the sport of basketball, you run into a lot of these basketball coaches that are I this, I that. They're egomaniacs, some of them, just to be honest. And what we found here is we got a couple guys here and a couple of assistants that, are the exact opposite of that. They think of we as a team, and they care about everybody involved. Morelli's a little long-winded up here, but besides that, I think, quiet. Coming. I'll run you in a minute. I gotta apologize. I was late. I think I was umpiring the game from hell, something like that. 4 hours, 8 innings, whatever. But these coaches, it's just terrific to know that there are people out here that care this much about the players. And wins and losses don't mean a darn thing when you have quality people up here. Okay. Now Jeff here, I still haven't seen you wear a suit coat yet. You have one? Players, the athletes that I've come across here, second to none, and it's been great working with all of you. And I've got to say a special word about JJ. Being from my hometown of Lexington, I remember him when he was maybe about yay high, and I'd be working up at Hayden Recreation Center. He'd come in. He'd always have a basketball. Always want to come in and shoot around. He wasn't any good, I don't think, but he just wanted to shoot around. I had to kick him out around dinner time a couple times. I'd say, go home. You live around the corner, go home. But but really, having a guy like him around was a taste of home, and I've really appreciated that. And also, if I go without saying anything about Matt Winkler, who's helping me out as an intern in the Sports Information Office, he was terrific. He put together a terrific program for the tournament, conference tournament. If any of you got to look at that. He did that with a Macintosh and all that. I'm glad, together we did something, but that was his production. And I think if, as long as he pursues that field, if he wants to pursue the field, he's got a good future in it. I don't want to say that, my situation is part time. I'd love to be here to work more with you people. I want to do more for you people. And, I've got to get some more hours sometime. I hope Tom Stevens here. He's not the only one, but I'd like to, hey, whatever. Anyway, these awards I've got here, the ECAC gives out weekly awards. We call them every week, with certain stats on certain games. And they have a player of the week, rookie of the week. How many times did Ferguson Innes win it from New England College, something like that? But anyway, Nick, you've got one coming. I don't have it here, right here, but there was one week, the week of December 8th, 1990. Just before that, the women at Anna Maria had a heck of a game to win up there. It was a big win. It was about a 10-point win, I'd say. About 10 points. And probably in that game, Kristen Gliga probably had the game of her career. She scored 28 points. It was a men's award as well. She got an honorable mention in the ECAC that week. Kristen? Now there may be another one coming this way. I've got to check this out for sure. But the week ending January 19th, and I tell you the truth, she had so many spectacular weeks here and there. I can't remember which games they were involved in this. Tracy Hennigan. Tracy, you may have another one coming. I got to check that out. And also having one coming is Nick Strickland. In fact, they left him off the sheet. They must have figured out how much he can yak or whatever. Nick's got one coming in. Okay. All right, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Women's program was fortunate to sweep the awards at the Commonwealth Coast Conference coaches meeting at the end of the year. I'm going to make a couple of presentations regarding that. First person I'm going to call up was second-time Commonwealth Coast Conference Most Valuable Player. She's extremely highly respected among the coaches in the Commonwealth Coast Conference, but she's no more respected than by anybody in the coach at Curry. I'd like to bring up the second Commonwealth Coast Conference Most Valuable Player, Tracy Hennigan.
Yes.
We're also very fortunate to take away the second award that's given. There are only two, and it's a very prestigious award as far as I'm concerned. It's the Senior Scholar Athlete. And what more can you ask out of a college basketball player than to combine excellence in athletics with excellence in academics? And this particular person did that. As a matter of fact, up at the league meeting, I think I underestimated her. Hume, I didn't have the statistics with me, but I said she's about 3.5 in her major. She corrected me on that later on, said it's 3.7, which she always says anyhow. And
6. She just corrected you again.
It's gone up to 3.8?
No, yeah.
6 gone down.
Well, it's over 3.5, let's leave it. And as I said, what more fitting thing can a player do than to combine excellence in those two fields? And the Scholar Athlete for 1991 Commonwealth Coast Conference is Christine Deegan. Actually, Chris has got 3 things here. She was also named to the first team all-conference basketball team. That's the second team. Second team all-conference, and that was Mr. Siciliano. And this year, Nick Strickland made the first team all-conference. So I'd like to call him up. That, in our minds, exemplifies the type of program that we want to establish, that we want to continue, that we want, when they mention Curry College, a program that has players that are willing to pay the price, willing to go out there, practice every day, willing to put forth the best effort in the game, no matter how much time they're in there, and just to be a perfect example so that we can say this type of player is a player that epitomizes Curry College. And I think this year, without a question in our mind, the person that we would like to give this award to is Brian Neville.
For once. Say something. Say something.
I want Nick to go up and see.
He did say 3 words. The next award that the men's basketball program is going to give out is the most improved. This award this year is going to a person that statistically, when you say most improved, you may think, okay, his average went up from, let's say, I don't know, 10 points a game last year to 20 points this year. Or rebounds went up from 10 rebounds last year to 15 a game this year. Or any other statistics just skyrocketed, big improvement. Well, again, I'm not one for stats. What I am one of is a person that I feel, when I have asked him to do something, has tried his very, very best to do it. And improving from last year to this year. As I said, the road was not a smooth road. We banged heads, but again,
I think that now that it's over, we both realize what I wanted, and I hope that in the future, he will look upon it as a tremendous learning experience. In my mind, the person who improved the way I wanted him to, J.J. Singh. Next award is the MVP. And again, I don't think there's any question who our most valuable player was last year. He, without a doubt, was able to turn it on, was able to do a lot of things that other players were not capable of doing. He has tremendous athletic ability. He has potential, I think, if, let's say, we're starting all over again, to be a really good basketball player. Even though he won't admit it, but I can whip his ass in tennis anytime. But yet, I think that this person has the ability to do almost anything that he set his mind to. And I think that, I hope anyway, that this year he saw what I was trying to do, is to put his talents into a framework of 4 other kids to make those other 4 kids play better. I was very, very happy for him because one of the highlights of this year's team is that he was able to achieve a milestone like 2 of the women athletes to achieve 1,000 points. And that's a very great accomplishment. I hope that in the future, whatever is in store for him, he will, put forth his best effort, in behalf of the team, quote unquote. At this time, I'd like to bring up Nick Strickland. First of all, we'll give him his MVP plaque, and secondly,
Yes, sir.
give him his
He wants the ball.
He wants the ball.
Give him the ball.
He's not used to not having the ball.
1,000 points, February 19, 1991.
Is that the ball
Harry
he missed
College,
two foul shots with?
College.
Anna Maria foul shot.
Foul shots?
Foul shots.
Oh, we won't talk about that.
Is that the
This will
ball?
probably, I might as well give it to him, right? Because
Inflated.
you probably never get it back as an assist, you know what I mean? First one would be the Unsung Hero Award. To a player that I guess we would kind of call stopgap. I referred to this player earlier as someone that filled a void. She came in with a very mature attitude towards the program, did whatever was asked of her, started some games, didn't start some games, was always positive, and led to the maturity that we were looking for one more player in this particular season. And she was an important part of the success that we had in a lot of ways that don't show up in statistics, as Coach Morelli referred to. And many times basketball players are judged by their statistics, and I think this kid is one of them. Very mature attitude, fine basketball player, Andrea Sugar.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The Coaches Award this year is going to a young lady that I believe epitomizes work ethic that coaches love. She had a great academic record at Kelly as well, and her overall attitude probably judged as well as anyone that I've coached what college athletics was about. It was important, it was very important, but it wasn't all that there was. There's academics, there's
being concerned about what your major is, what's going to happen when you leave Curry, just getting along well with everyone. This person probably exemplified that as well as anyone that I've had the pleasure to coach. She was an intense competitor on the court. She was serious about her academics, and she was a real fun-loving type of kid off the court. Unfortunately, she couldn't be with us tonight. We'll make sure that Nancy Monroe gets the coaches with her. Most valuable player.
Sharon.
Why do you choose between two fine wines? I should drink both bottles, I guess. The two ladies who will be called up here in a minute were both highly respected by the league coaches. They finished within 2 votes of most valuable player in the league, which with the number of votes that is cast is an amazingly close ballot. Tracy did win the league most valuable player, but it was as hotly contested a race between 2 players as I've been involved with since the league has been formed. Both of these players are number 2 and number 3 in the all-time scoring list at Curry. They both probably rank in the top 5 in scoring, rebounding, field goal percentage, and a bunch of other statistics that we don't have at our fingertips at this point, but I'm sure they're there. They're 2 very diverse personalities, yet 2 very close friends. And obviously it's no surprise that our most valuable players this year and last year, Tracy and
this is the problem. There's a lot of pointing fingers. You can't do that. Everything is always negative when people are pointing fingers. One person I'd like to say along the whole season who, stuck through us thick and thin and was always the same. And whether he was nice about it or not, doesn't matter. He stayed the same. He got on us. He said, listen, no matter whether we're winning or losing, I'm going to stay the same. We're going to keep working hard. It's Coach Morelli. And something earlier that I don't think everyone understood. I'm going to try to explain it a little bit, and that is, he said, the kids stuck with me through whatever, and he knew that we'd know what that meant. I'll tell you what that meant. He spent that. He was honest all season. It doesn't matter, if we keep losing, all right, maybe now I'll be nice. No, it's like I'm going to keep telling you to do the things I want you to do. This is the way it's going to go. And he kept honest, and we appreciate that because he didn't give up on us, and that's what he meant by it. We stuck with him as well. And whether or not he believes it or not, I think he believes it, but we all tried as a team as hard as we could to do what he wanted us to do. And if things had went a few different ways, otherwhere, or ball bouncing this way or whatnot, you can't make those excuses now, but it would have been a different season. And I want to thank him very much for the opportunity he gave us to be a successful team. Thank you very much. So, thank you very much.
Still not ready to speak. Speech, Wiley.
Speech, Wiley. Wiley.
Coach, speak.
Oldest living senior.
Coach oldest living senior.
$1 bill. How are you going to do it for Curry, too? The kids are looking for a free pair of sneakers. Did they come from Duffy? We don't want to embarrass you.
I'll open it, open it, open it.
Good luck.
Well, Nancy was going to give the speech, but she didn't. Forget it.
We'd like to thank all the parents for showing up and support at all the games. We do have a few awards for some of the parents that come out to all the games for the past 4 years. And, even the freshman parents all the way up to come on.
A little volume on that.
Yeah, get this one wrong. Get this one wrong.
Cleo, what's up? Talk to us.
She said told the boy.
They're two parents. I mean, we want to thank all the parents for their engagement for 4 years. But two parents in the 4 years that we've been here, I don't think we missed one game that they did. It was just a game. And
That's George Leaguer and Ellie Hennigan.
Whether it was snowing or raining, whether they came home,
Sick.
you know, they were there. He's one of the other, she's a big help.
Speak up.
I don't even.
Speak up! Come on, Glenn. Doing coachable on the team sometimes can be difficult, but I mean, he's put up with us. I mean, he's put a lot of our conversation. He knows some of the things that are going on.
And we want to thank him first of all for a great season and for being with us for 4 years.
And also congratulate him again for being good for the year.
Open it! 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 Now, open it!
That concludes this evening's program, I guess.
I'm gonna take a time. I don't know. No one opened up.
The Hennigans are inviting people back to their homes. That's been changed since an hour ago, correctly. That's it. DJ's waiting to set up in here pretty soon. So thank you all for checking Cecilia Bombardi's influence is in this.